Here's a brutal truth. No modern man wants to hear you're not failing because you're not handsome enough. You're not lonely because you don't have money or muscles. You're failing because you've been severed from your own primal instincts. Think about how many times she was right there in front of you, eyes burning, breath quickening her body, sending you signals so loud they could split the air, yet you just smiled, politely nodded, and let the moment slip away, as if it never existed. And then another guy walked in, saw what you missed, and claimed it instantly. Not because he was better, but because he was awake. Modern men are stumbling through their own game like the blind. You think you're being careful not to make mistakes, but the truth is, you've been trained by society to ignore every primal signal, to become safe, harmless, and invisible in the eyes of women. This video is going to rip that mask off. I'll show you how to read the body language, the unconscious signals women cannot hide. And understand this isn't just about sex. This is about survival, about reclaiming the core of your masculine essence before it's too late. Let's begin with the eyes, the mirror of the unconscious. In evolutionary psychology, eye contact was humanity's first form of communication, long before language existed. A woman may say, "I'm fine." She may smile politely, but her pupils never lie. When her body is triggered by your presence, her sympathetic nervous system fires. The result, her pupils dilate. Her gaze lingers longer than a single normal beat. If you pay attention, you'll notice it that extra second where her eyes hold yours, then dart away quickly, as if to hide only to return again, as though pulled back by gravity. That's not coincidence. That's ancient instinct erupting. But modern men, most are too busy staring at their phones, worrying about what to say next, or convincing themselves she's just being polite. The reality is, she's inviting you into a silent dance where the eyes don't just look, they test. Sigmund Freud once said, "In every glance lies a desire." But to see it, you need the courage to hold that gaze. And then there's the detail. Nearly every man misses the glance toward your mouth. You speak, she listens, and her eyes flicker down to your lips. Don't fool yourself into thinking that's random. In behavioral psychology, this is known as the pre-kiss indicator, an unconscious signal that her mind is already rehearsing intimacy before you've even considered it. Her body is rehearsing for a kiss, testing if you're man enough to notice. Picture this. You're in a crowded bar, music pounding, conversations buzzing all around. But across the chaos, her gaze keeps circling back to you, lingering heavy and then pausing on your mouth. What do you do? Option 1. You smile awkwardly, look away, and whisper to yourself, "Don't be weird." Option 2. You hold her gaze, let the silence stretch, let the tension thicken into electricity. The difference between a loser and a man of presence is decided in those few seconds. Many men don't believe this. They think I must be imagining it. But research from Helen Fisher, one of the world's leading anthropologists, proves otherwise. Her studies show that when a woman stares at someone she desires, her brain releases dopamine and oxytocin. In other words, eye contact isn't just a signal. It's a biological mechanism binding her to you. Every extra second you hold that gaze, her own body is wiring her closer to you. And here's what comes next. When the eyes linger, the voice follows. You'll hear her tone drop, words slow, rhythm soften, as if she's subconsciously forcing you to lean closer. This isn't habit or politeness. It's intimacy being built in real time, a protective bubble around just the two of you. If you step into that bubble, you'll feel the static in the air. The men who get it don't talk more. They don't fidget nervously. They don't run from the silence. They simply stay present. Let their own voice deepen. Let the tension swell until attraction becomes undeniable. In that instant, she knows He sees me. He's not like the others. And this is only the beginning. The eyes are just the first doorway into her primal desire. But if you learn to look deeper, her entire body will start shouting louder truths. And most men, they're deaf to it. Do you want to know the next signal almost every man misses? You see, the eyes are only the first invitation. But a woman's body doesn't just speak through her gaze. It screams through every subtle movement. Most men are too numb to notice. Pay attention to posture and orientation. When a woman is truly drawn to you, she doesn't just sit across from you, her entire body begins to angle toward you. Psychologists call this body orientation. Even when she's in conversation with someone else, her feet, her hips, her shoulders quietly lean your way. That's not etiquette. That's instinct. Picture this. You're in a group setting, laughter bouncing around, everyone chatting. Yet she doesn't turn fully toward the others. Half her body stays aligned with you. That's her body betraying her mind, revealing where her attention is anchored. And if you're sharp, you'll notice her spine straightens, her shoulders roll back, her chest subtly lifts. Most men assume women do this just to look pretty. Wrong. This is biology. For centuries, females of every species have adjusted their posture as a primal display, an unconscious signal: I'm presenting myself to you. The tragedy is most men misinterpret it. They say, she's just sitting comfortably. No, she's hoisting a billboard with her body that reads, I'm open, I'm available. And then comes touch. How many times has she brushed against you, her shoulder grazing yours, her hand lingering a second longer than necessary? You think it's coincidence. It isn't. These accidental touches are calculated. They are tests. In psychology, they're called compliance tests. She's probing to see, will you notice? Will you freeze up, retreat, pretend it never happened? Or will you stay grounded, return the energy? Show her you're a man who can carry it. Here's the secret. When a woman feels safe, she won't just touch you, she'll touch herself in your presence. Fingers twirling through her hair, brushing her collarbone, stroking her neck. These aren't nervous tics. They are beacons drawing your eyes exactly where she wants them. That's not small talk. That's primal broadcasting. Let me give you a story. A friend of mine once went out with a female colleague. During a group outing, she kept accidentally touching his arm, leaning her shoulder into his. He thought, well, the seats are cramped. Weeks later, she was holding hands with another man. Why? Because that man didn't rationalize. He read the signal and responded. My friend lost, not because he lacked looks or status, but because he failed the test. And here's the cruel twist. Society trains men to fail. Culture screams at you, don't misinterpret her signs. Don't invade her space. Taken to the extreme, you become passive, invisible. The man who never responds when she's practically shouting. Women don't want you to be reckless, but they also don't want you to play dead. The difference is simple. The loser sees a touch and retreats. The man of presence feels it, leans in, turns it into a playful moment, a return touch, a teasing remark that makes her laugh harder. In that instant, the air thickens. The tension shifts from invisible to undeniable. And yet this is still only the second layer. Because once the body speaks, the voice and breath begin to change. And when that happens, the game shifts to an even deeper level, the kind of intimacy you can feel in your bones. And this is where you need to open your ears, because a woman's breath and her voice never know how to lie. If her eyes and her touch are the invitations, then her voice is the surrender of the unconscious. When she's aroused, her diaphragm and vocal cords shift. Her breathing grows heavier, deeper. You'll hear it, a subtle sigh after a sentence, a laugh that seems a little breathless, or the way she has to inhale more often just to keep speaking. That's not exhaustion. That's her body reacting to you. Her voice changes too. Normally, she may speak quickly, brightly, clearly. But when desire enters the picture, the tone drops, words slow down, the rhythm softens. Psychologists call this vocal modulation, the unconscious tuning of her voice to create intimacy. It forces you to lean closer, to step into her space. And when you do, a private bubble forms where the rest of the room ceases to exist. I once watched this happen at a cafe. A woman sat chatting, her voice even confident. Then the man beside her leaned closer, resting his hand on the table near hers. Suddenly, her voice slowed, dropped lower, every phrase punctuated with a small laugh. The conversation had transformed. It wasn't conscious. Her body had built a world just for the two of them. And here's where most men miss the mark. They hear her voice change and think, she must be tired. She's just being polite. No. She's testing if you're sharp enough to notice the shift, if you can feel the charge underneath her words. If you ignore it, she retreats. If you mirror it, slowing your own voice, deepening your tone, you create resonance. And in that resonance, her brain floods with dopamine. Attraction doesn't just happen, it compounds. And then comes mirroring. When she unconsciously mimics your gestures, that's her nervous system syncing with yours. You lean back, she leans back. You lift your glass, seconds later, she does too. This isn't coincidence. It's the chameleon effect, a phenomenon identified by psychologist Tanya Chartrand. When women are drawn in, they unconsciously copy movements to dissolve tension, to align with you. Smart men seize this. You don't need slick lines or flashy tricks. You let your body speak. Shift your pace slower, smoother. If she follows, that's not a hint anymore. That's submission. And then when another woman enters the scene, someone attractive enough to be a rival, you'll see the primal truth exposed. The once quiet woman leans closer, touches more often, laughs louder. Not because she's suddenly happier, but because her subconscious is staking a claim. It's not performance. It's territorial instinct, the same drive that makes a lioness guard her prey. Remember, these signals don't appear when she only sees you as a friend. They emerge when desire takes over. And once you learn this language, you'll realize her body has never been silent. It's been shouting all along. The question is, have you been listening? But even if you catch the eyes, the touch, the breath, the voice, there is still one final layer. It's when she begins reshaping her very presentation right in front of you, inviting you to step into her world. And that is the signal no man can afford to ignore. You've seen the eyes, you've heard the voice, you've felt the touch. But there is one last signal so undeniable that if you miss it, it's not because you don't know, it's because you've denied your own masculine instinct. This is when a woman begins altering her physical presentation in real time, right in front of you. She tugs her top a little lower, not because she's warm. She adjusts her hair, not because it's messy. She fingers her earrings, brushes her neck, reapplies her lipstick, licks her lips. These are not random habits. They are subconscious signals, the body's way of saying, notice me, want me. In behavioral science, they're called preening behaviors, just like birds that fluff their feathers to attract a mate. Humans aren't any different. And what's fascinating is that she often isn't aware she's doing it. You think she just happened to sweep her hair aside, exposing the pale line of her throat. No, that's a ritual of intimacy. The neck is one of the most vulnerable, sensitive areas where the heartbeat races when desire spikes. When she exposes it to you, it's as if she's waving a flag, I'm open. Are you man enough to enter? But men trapped in their heads rationalize it away. She's just fixing her clothes. Wrong. When she offers you a sip of her drink, bites the straw, feeds you from her fork, that is a direct invitation. The mouth is the center of both nourishment and pleasure. Evolutionary psychology shows that gestures toward the mouth in intimate settings are subconscious signals of sexual openness. Let me give you a story. A man once told me about his first date. The woman kept biting her lip, reapplying lipstick, leaning closer when she laughed, even handing him her cocktail to try. He just smiled, nodded, and did nothing. The next day she vanished. Why? Because in her mind he had been tested and he failed. Not because he lacked looks or wealth, but because he lacked the awareness to see what her body was screaming. Here's the truth. Women don't want you to beg for permission. They want you to notice and respond with calm masculine certainty. Not lunging, not desperate, just present. An extra beat of eye contact. A hand resting near hers on the table. A teasing line that shifts the energy from social to intimate. That's how you tell her, I see you, I understand, and I'm strong enough to lead. And you must grasp this. Women don't send signals just to be seen. They send them to test you. This is the silent exam. If you respond with grounded presence, she exhales finally, allowing herself to sink into her feminine. If you miss it, she retracts and invests her energy elsewhere. How many times have you thought, she was so into me, and then she turned cold? This is why. You didn't pass the test. This is the brutal truth. No one says aloud, opportunities don't vanish because you're unlucky. They vanish because you never learned to listen to the language older than civilization itself, the primal grammar of attraction. So the final question is not, does she want me? You already know. Her body has told you. The real question is, do you have the presence to act when the door opens? And that brings us to the heart of it, the final message that will hurt, but awaken you. The moment that leaves you alone, but clear. By now, if you've truly been listening, you're probably feeling a strange mix inside, pain and clarity. Pain because you realize how many opportunities you've already let slip, those eyes that lingered, those touches that tested, those signals her body sent that you ignored. And clarity because at last, the curtain has been torn away. You can see, you can understand, and you will never be the same. This is a bitter pill to swallow because it forces you to face the truth you've avoided. You weren't rejected because you weren't good enough. You were rejected because you weren't awake enough. You didn't have the courage to see that women are always testing you, always placing invisible exams in front of you. And most men, they file before the first question. But now, you hold the key. You can read the language of the body, the ancient language no words can cover up. Understand this. This is not about pickup tricks. This is not about cheesy lines. This is about reclaiming your primal masculine essence. About being the man who doesn't flinch at a hungry gaze. The man who doesn't freeze at a testing touch. The man who doesn't miss when she bears herself right in front of him. That man is you if you choose it. But don't keep this awakening for yourself. One awakened man can change his own life. Many awakened men can change a generation. If this message woke you up, then help wake up others. Share this video. Subscribe not as a fan, but as a brother in arms. As someone walking the same road, fighting the same battle, carrying the same honor. Because men don't lose because they're weak. They lose because they're asleep. And now, it's time to wake up.